The reason that I start with just about everybody with the freedom from the food systems
Mm,
is because when you see how that system affects you, you know how all the other systems affect you too.
mm,
And food is something everybody does. And food is something everybody uses for drug. But I want to get it shifted where we know as a group of individuals that we can use food as medicine until we don't need it as medicine anymore.
mm,
But through that, we use the freedom process as well to let you come into that living process, which is this being, so that that center, when you drop into center and you know that, when you know that as love, that's moving with you because we're not trying to get rid of the accumulation. That's not our job. That's nature's job. And if we're nature, we use something so simple to sidetrack this so that it can't stay distracted and it can't keep that accumulation caught up.
It slows
mm.
everything down, in other words, because the mind has its own speed, as you probably know. It can go pretty quick and fast and furious.
This guy goes really fast and
Yeah.
furious. Roller
I
coaster
can understand that. Mine can do that. And sometimes when I'm in the middle of doing, when something catches me, I'll be breathing into the sides of my body and slowing it down. And this thing will just still be going like a
Mm,
freight train. And I just
mm,
go, all right, cool. Do what you need to do. I'm taking it into the body and bringing it into a slower rhythm in that way,
mm,
the body. So the reaction of the nervous system to whatever's going on, it's it's speaking to the nervous system through the breath in that way. And it's so simple. It's almost like when I've facilitated people or watched Judy, they're just like, really, this is it? But
yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
is. Yeah,
it. But why
yeah,
not have something simple, right? Instead of
it
complicated and take your notes out and how do I do this?
just makes sense as well, doesn't it? It just makes it's logic, and it comes back
Yeah,
to logic. It's obvious.
100%.
It's so.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just. I feel it's just. Yeah, it's just having the awareness to catch yourself would be for
Uh-huh.
the for me. Because I have mornings sometimes where I get up and I'm just sort of centered and I go and sit down for a little while and I breathe and I close my eyes and I have 20 minutes of just pure bliss. And then the rest of my day seems to fall into that same frequency and nothing really bothers me and everything just sort of bounces off me and I'm sort of going along like I'm listening to some wonderful song all the time. And there's harmony. But then other times I wake up and that I have not grasped that. I have not had a chance before my mind just goes, right, come on, let's go. And then I am on it all day. And sometimes I lay down at night and just think, where the fuck did that day just go? You know,
Oh yeah.
who even lived that day? Because it fucking wasn't me.
Yeah.
Mm.
The simplicity drops us out of the distraction and the complexity that keeps us in the accumulation.
Mind stuff.
Unlearning all of that stuff that keeps us caught. And we don't have to be caught. And yet we can still get all those things done.
Mm,
So that's one of the things that really challenged me with doing this work was like, well, if I'm not, driven by this anymore, I'm not going to get anything done ever. Well, it turns out I get about 50% more done because this isn't in the way anymore. This accumulation isn't in the way anymore. So all the energy, instead of rearranging all this accumulation, the accumulation let me go. And now I get to use all that energy that was rearranging it to do whatever it is the feet are bringing me to.
mm.
Now, that's where the food comes in because it's the same thing. It's a form of communication. Like food is a delivery system for energy signatures. When we take it in via food, it's a very slow way to get that energy signature, especially when we have all those energy signatures accessible through our personal space. So all those energy signatures are always there. I could absorb that energy signature directly instead of using these really dense forms of transportation.
Mm.
And in that moment, I have just freed up this body to look after external things, internal healing, anti-aging, cleaning up anything that was, you know, diseasing.
Mm.
And now I have a ton of energy that is from aligned control, not willpower, not pushing, not being driven. It's all about that. Because, I used to be a scurrier. Oh, I got to get all my food grown because what's going to happen? And did it, did it. Holy critter crackers. When I drop the reasons I use food for drug, and I drop the reason I use foods to suppress things that make me uncomfortable, like emotions or mental, whatever. And when I drop this concept that I'm going to need food to survive, I'm left with the food that I need. I've dropped all this. Now, do I have to scurry? No, let's just go plant a couple potatoes and, let's gather up a few berries and there's no more scurrying. So now I've freed up all this time to do other things. Now I'm not focused on survival, I'm focused on thrival.
Mm.
Now I have all this energy, time, space, ability, on and on and on. But the food system will keep us locked in because we want to be free, but how detailed are we looking at in the ways that it controls?
Yeah, I mean, I think as well is that like there is probably some kind of advanced technological infrastructure that is doing or keeping us in that mind space, that low vibrational mind space as well. So I feel that it's not just like a habitual cycle of thinking that I've had since I was a kid through whatever. I think there's other stuff at play as well, you know.
I think there is too, but what if that's still happening, but all that we've picked up and
Yeah, of
taken
course. Yeah, of course. We're armored.
on, then this can happen all at once and we can go, oh, okay, well, I have capacity to go, I see that, and I don't have to be affected by it the same way because I don't have to pick it up. It's not mine anymore. So it's not a matter of we can stop that necessarily. I think it's stopping as
Like,
as a consciousness anyway. I think we're collapsing it.
sure.
But at the same time, we still have all the patterns that we picked up from that.
Mm.
So whether this stops or not, great, this could be gone, but I've picked up patterns for many, many lifetimes because I've picked up my generational family patterns as well. And now all I'm doing is coming into center, creating space so that the accumulation can drop away and nature will reorganize. So then I'm not willpowering. There's no willpower involved in what I'm encouraging or inviting to. It's not about willpower. Come back to create space, accumulation drops away, nature reorganizes, and then you're going, wow, look at that. I didn't eat that cheesecake today because I was already stuffed to the limit. Not because I don't love cheesecake, because I was listening, I was communicating with what this is. Because what's the best communicator about what the body needs? Some would say the mind, because there's all sorts of information out there about what's best for the body. Some would say the tongue, because the tongue tastes all these really cool things and wants more. But a lot of those things are chemical, right? A lot of this, the mind stuff, is influenced by the systems. But what about the stomach? The stomach knows, right? The stomach knows how to communicate when it needs food or what food it needs. No, because most people experience their emotions in their gut center, in their solar plexus center. So sometimes when it feels like you're hungry, you feel like uncomfortable from an emotion that's come up from the accumulation. So the best part of the body to listen to when it comes to what the body needs for food is the feet. The feet will tell you every single time when you actually need food. But the mind, the tongue, and the tummy, the stomach, they're not great indicators as to whether you actually need food or not. Now, don't get me wrong, I love food. Like, I love flavors, I love textures, I love all of that. But I can't taste anything after about 3 bites.
Yeah, I tried that the other day. It didn't work for me.
You could keep tasting it.
Oh yeah. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like six. I'm in my sixth spoonful now, and it still tastes fucking amazing. Like, oh, I'm gonna keep on eating then.
And that's what you do, because the whole idea is you're listening to your body. It's not
Mm,
going to look the same for you as it is for anybody else.
yeah.
And so 3 bites for me is enough. And I have to be honest, I probably was like 6, 7 bites, 8, 10 bites before. And
Mm.
as it got clearer and clearer and I quit listening, I knew how this was being controlled. I knew how this was being controlled. I knew how this was being used. I knew that food kicked my adrenals so that I could go harder and drive further. As soon as I knew that, I started seeing it differently. And then as soon as I started differently, things started changing. So it's your path, though, not mine. So
Mm.
I could go for days and do water, not even think twice about it. Or I could go for days and do no water and no food.
And you lethargic on those days?
No, not even a little bit.
Are you angry or frustrated or miserable or grumpy or
In the beginning, a little bit.
yeah?
Because what are you withdrawing from? You're withdrawing from the most powerful drug on the earth, which is adrenaline in your body.
Mm.
That's why we use all the other drugs in the world, is because that kicks the adrenaline, which is the powerful drug in our systems. But you're withdrawing. That's why you get a little cranky. But if you know that, does it shift things? Yeah, there's ways to hack that so that you're not stuffing the body full, but you're giving the body what it needs, what it's asking for via the feet. So, and then other days, I will be with people and I will eat all day long.
Well, I like this part of it.
Yeah, right. But it doesn't affect me the same way because the body knows what's happening. There's a conscious communication happening, which is, I want to eat as much as happening here because it feels like love.
And your body goes, you fucking go for it, and everyone's happy.
And it does. And so there's this, I can take food or I can leave it. I'm not controlled by it. I don't have to have a certain amount. I don't have to have it certain days. I don't have to, none of that. It's like, okay. And it gets really, really quick. Like, to begin with, you slow way down so that you can hear what your feet are asking for, what your body is communicating to you. And then it gets super quick. It's like food, not food. Yep. Food, not food. Nope. This, nope. Yep. It,
We work with something here called a step across process. So Judy didn't go from this to like no food, no water, no anything, and just cool with it like in a month.
Mm.
It's nature's pace. We literally go at the pace of nature, which is amazing and so sustainable and so um I don't know what realistic even is anymore. But it's a resonance thing again because the body, we work with that anyways. And so um I feel like that's been one of the biggest pieces. It is helps make it actual a lifestyle rather than just I'm just going to clean my body up and just get at it and do all this, because I don't think it doesn't lend for long-term results. And so it's a very deep and longer rhythm in a sense. But once something kind of tips over, all of a sudden you're in this place where, she's talking where you're doing a cleanse, or you're doing food a different way, or you're having potato chips one day after the body's gotten cleaned up and there's, physical, mental, emotional cleanup that's been done. And it's like it doesn't even touch you the next day because there's space for stuff to move through. You enjoy it, it's done. There's not this, binge on it or making yourself wrong for doing something like that. So I really wanted to speak to that how we work through this is the step across. It's one, we work through the pieces, but it comes together in that holistic way. And it's amazing, especially in a group, because people bring their experiences and we get to see that one person can't do it the way another person can. Don't try to do that. That will I will never be Judy's way of doing it, but the way that I've done this has made it actual, like, I get so much information of where I'm at when I'm traversing this. And it's been the best. It's been the most effective, best, most foundational, and just sustainable way that I've brought this body back into alignment. And it's ongoing. There's always refinement. And it's beautiful. And some days you can, put nothing in. And it's like, holy cow, that just happened for a couple days. Okay, cool. Other days you eat the freaking cake. Who cares? But we're just cleaning up that accumulation, right? I was at Judy's house many months ago, and it was her daughter's birthday. And, they're teenage kids, so they have all this fun food they're eating. And Judy and I were hanging out, and we were chatting in the evening, and they're with the teenagers, and we were snacking on potato chips. And I was just kind of giggling. And the next morning I woke up, I go, wow, I don't feel icky from eating those chips. And she goes, not in this house. And when she said it, I realized, like, that's it. It's like we were eating, we were enjoying. There was nothing sticky about, oh gosh, we're eating potato chips. Like, oh dear. And it was done, and it was clean, and life carries on, right? So this isn't about, like, making it difficult or boring. It's actually quite fun after a while because you get to weave in and out of those places.
Well, to begin with, it's hard as heck, though, because you get to see all the ways you're addicted and all the ways you're controlled.
That part, there's definitely places where a lot of stuff comes up. And
I mean, I feel I've visited a lot of those places in the past before with lots of different fasting methods and stuff, so I'm pretty aware of my dysfunctional relationship with food already.
Well, let's get it functional, Danny. You've got things to do.
Yep. Fucking amen.
Is that?
It's an entertaining piece for me because I didn't know that this was happening. I wouldn't even called it anything, but now I call it divine nutrition.
It's a nice name.
The reason I call it that is because I'm divine. You're divine. So why wouldn't you treat the divine that you are with divine nutrition?
Makes sense.
That's all it is. Instead of being high on adrenaline all day, I would rather create all this space for source to be expressing through this in an even cleaner, higher energy, efficient, effective way. Adrenaline's not an effective way to get through the day. It's not a clean.
No, it feels like frenetic.
It really is because it's a high. So most of us are using food. Oh, I'm feeling a little tired. Oh, let's get some, I don't know, something with let's get a delivery system for butter. Buddy knows this one.
Do that.
So let's get some butter in there because butter, that'll kick my adrenals and then I'll be able to go again for the rest of the day.
Some coffee, spoonful of honey.
Coffee. Honey, I'd say go for.
Okay. Honey's good.
Honey, I'd say go for because it's glucose and it's gonna give you that really good fuel for your brain, for your nervous system. But the coffee, the butter, any kind of other overt fats.
Oh, leave me alone.
chocolate, all those things. Now, okay, but whoa, slow down, because once I know that's what's happening, can I use it as medicine? Yes. Because there will be days that the feet just take this and make some green tea. Okay. Yes, it's considered a stimulant on this end, but on this end, it's medicine. And away I go. But it's divine nutrition. I'm divine. I'm gonna listen to what the feet say is divine nutrition for this.
Mm.
And then I'm back to nature. Then I'm back to nature, because let's face it, nature creates fermented. You know, animals are hilarious when they get into the fermented fruit on the ground. They're amazingly hilarious. And so are we when we get into the fermented fruit in the bottle, right? So it's not like nature doesn't do that. It's just a matter of, are we coming from that nature point in how we do food versus this intellectual, projected, programmed way? No more.
It's sovereign nutrition
One's
too.
natural. Yeah, one's natural, one's synthetic, isn't it?
Yeah. So we come back to natural by getting uncomfortable, creating space, the accumulation drops away, nature reorganizes, and then pretty soon it's not willpower that causes that. It's just the feet taking you to that or not taking you to that.
It's that not accepting or rejecting thing again, right? Where we can have experiences and it doesn't become that piece that controls this anymore. And so it just, you have to really experience it, I think, to know, like anything. And it's very interesting to just traverse through life where it's like, okay, it's take it or leave it. But it's not going through, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, because we all know what happens when you go through. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Ah! Close the door, draw the shades. You know,
Butter, eat
yeah.
butter,
Sign on the door. Do not enter, and you're just
Nipping lines of burrito off your desk.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really kind of interesting as we just move through it, and it is a spiral, because with spirals, you know, it gets bigger as it goes and you just expand. And sometimes, you know, you're moving slower along one of the revolutions, and sometimes you move through it pretty quick, and it just makes it interesting. And there are pieces where sometimes you're like, this sucks, like I don't want to do this anymore. And that's where the support comes in. The support is really a key piece in this.
Controlled by what's under the surface. Nothing outside of us can control us unless we're resonating with that in the subconscious or in the underground. It just cannot affect us unless we're resonating in alignment with it. So it's about coming into control, but in aligned control. It's amazing to me to go, oh, I'm on almost to the top of the mountain and I have no food and no water left, and I'm going to keep going. Whereas most people are like, oh, what happens if I don't have enough food and water and I run out of energy? I might get stuck on top of the mountain. I'm like, huh, whatever. See you on the bottom. I'm headed. You know, there's such freedom in being able to show up to something. Like, I know a lot of individuals that are very fearful of food. Like, they don't love it, they're fearful of it. And so they'll show up to an event where there's all sorts of foods that they would never eat. And I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I'll either do it or I won't do it. So there's so much limitation, and food is everywhere. So why would we want to limit ourselves? Our feet are going to take us to that, or they're not. And we're not going to stop experiencing this as love because of the fear of that food, or because of the discomfort of that, or because it's like, no, I'm unlimited. Feet, where shall we go today? Or let's get quiet and let's be silent, or let's go sit in the dirt, or, let's go climb a tree, or let's get all of this done that we want to do in order to serve.
Mm.
That doesn't matter. It's like the feet are going to do what they're going to do anyway. Why would I want to get in the way of that with all this fear? No more coming out sideways. All this energy, because that's one of the things with the food piece, with the food control, with the food system control, is that most of my energy is coming out sideways. No way, I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to eat that. And then I go hide in the room and lock the door and shovel. Literally. Well,
And then
that's
you
coming
beat
out.
yourself up, and then that's harm. I mean, that is one way of being like, then that self-worth shit comes in and starts yapping at you. So food's just such a funny, it's like you bring up that subject like we are, and I have yet to see someone that doesn't go, so there's always something with food. It's just a perfect starting place to go to unravel so much around it. It really goes so far beyond food.
I mean, I think of just when you were saying that, I thought of my dad. Like, if I had to let him listen to this call and say to him, like, this is what you do, he'd be going, fuck that, it's not stopping me eating,
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. So it's so great because you just watch people's eyes get big, and then all the shit starts flying around of where you think you have to give up forever or go into these rigid places, and everything is just for the moment that it's happening.
I want to create space to fill it in the way I want it. And then there's no room for the things that I don't want.
Mm.
So I'm about filling it up, whether it's with silence or whether it's with, living water. Because we talk about bioelectrically, we talk about some of the basic back to nature food pieces.
Mm.
And then there's some sharing. We're asking the questions of the group in a way that container is not a safe space, but it is. So it's
I had 3 pizzas today.
something like that. So it's a safe space to be unsafe around food and around sharing and around bringing it to the surface so that you then can create space for it.
Food Anonymous.
Yeah. I'm I try and keep questions happening so that there's some direction. It's not just open sharing. We kind of try and keep it moving in that direction of creating space as much as possible. But sometimes you just got to sit and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Let's let it happen. So that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to go about it. And I always like 12 weeks because you're not going to notice significant differences unless there's a little time to allow the accumulation, allow some of the patterns to drop away. And then you start seeing, oh, emotionally, I committed to this for 12 weeks. And now I'm starting to see how, oh, I was headed in this direction and I had this opportunity to go this direction. And it took me a few attempts to come in that other direction for myself.
Mm.
So it's just that emotional commitment in that 12 weeks allows for the fits and starts for a bit. And then pretty soon you're into what's right for you, because that's the most important thing. Food, not food, water, not water, meat, not meat. There's no judgment around that. It doesn't matter. It's plant-based, not plant-based. It's like, it's what's right for you. What are your feet bringing you?
I could be eating my dinner on the call then.
You could be. You could be. Absolutely. That's more than welcome.
Okay.
Bring it all on. And we'll be having practical pieces for people to work with through the week, but those are usually they're brought through by what happened in the group, and so it's something that just comes in to consider, to play with through the week, to see what you notice, and then that's part of the sharing that happens too. But it also gives people something just to have, to see how it shifts things or what it brings up. I mean, a lot, that's usually what happens. Like, there's usually some like bottom falling out of like, oh my gosh, you realize something. And you come back just going, holy, like, I did not know that was happening in the background the whole time.
Exactly. The group will bring a dynamic to it that will cause us to move much quicker than we would on our own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Expect lots of questions.
And
Yeah, I
everything will
mean,
be recorded so people can go back and listen again if they need to. We have support on the back end for
some takeaway numbers and some recipes and
well, yeah, and if people have questions or they need some help or support, all that. Yeah.
my wife, my other half, she kind of lives like this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a very, very healthy, relaxed, unattached relationship with food. She doesn't drink. She's just very, and it's not like it's not like she's a Mormon. She's not like she's anyone who sort of, she doesn't care what I do or anyone else does, but she's just got a very relaxed way of being with it, you know. So, and I do sometimes envy that, you know, because I can see she's got fucking bucket loads of energy, and it's very calm energy, where mine's like, you know, I'm all fire and brimstone.
Well, I don't think it'll take that away as far as the personality aspect of it, but the addictiveness and the pushing and the driving that causes you to feel the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference. When you're pushing adrenaline, you get to the end of the day and it's like, oh, I'm done. Done. And then when you are coming from that place where you're not carrying all that accumulation or all that adrenaline corrosiveness, you get to the end of the day and you go, yeah, I'm done. Do you want to hang out for a little while? Not, I don't want anything to do with anybody.
Leave me alone.
Exactly. So it's a matter of just knowing, okay, I'm already following my feet. How do I recognize that? And that source is animating those feet, and let the rest organize for me instead of trying to manage all these symptoms and keep control of myself.
We just align with the trueness of us.
Yeah.
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 Whatever that is.
Well, it's individual for each game piece.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A reference.
We're not trying to make same all the way across the board.
Nope. You've got your accumulation. I've got my accumulation. Danny's got his accumulation, and it's all different with some similarities because we're all human. Drop that back. That one doesn't sound true. We're all man and woman. Sorry, I'm not about being a shadow. There's this piece that there's some foundational things for all of us. We're all electrical. We have eyes. We have a liver. For whatever reason, we have these foundational pieces that are similar, but the accumulation and how it gets piled on and the pieces that we carry and all of that, that's individual. That's your combination. How it comes away, how it shows up in your life after that, that's individual. But we definitely have, we're bioelectric beings. Nature. That's pretty across the board for at least those of us that are man and woman. We just play with that. We come back to that. We come back to the trueness of who we are. Quite a bit of anticipation, quite a bit of like, ooh, am I ready for this? Well, everybody's ready for this. If you're divine, you're ready for divine nutrition. The energies are so conducive to this, where it would have taken 10 years before, it's taking significantly less time now to create enough space for it not be controlling anymore. So much quicker. But that's what we're going to do. We'll be checking in. We're there for support. We're there to recognize when we do something we don't want to do and this comes up. Why did this come up? Like, okay, so say I know that I have gut issues and I go and eat a huge bowl of pasta. And I know that pasta isn't okay. So then what happens after that? Where did I create war on this? Because I did the freaking pasta. Well, no wonder you have gut issues. You did the pasta and then you did war on yourself. Anybody would have gut issues from doing war on themselves. So we watch those patterns and we just keep creating space the whole time.
Hmm.
I mean, how many times do you eat something like, and say, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that?
Well, until
I'm
you
very
don't.
full. I'll go on. I'll have just a little bit. Just get me. I'll just have a little slice, even though like you're fucking, it's coming out your ears already.
Until you're not willpowering yourself anymore, until this underground stuff's not controlling you anymore.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely get it, and I'm completely all in. Like, I really, really get it. It's this to me again, just to reiterate, is not a coincidence that this is happening at a time when I need it to happen.
Hmm.
You know, I am being stretched and stressed in ways that are unimaginable for me, and I know that is I'm not helping that situation by the way that I'm living. And I think there's probably an expiration date for that if I continue the way I'm doing.
Well, I don't know about an expiration date as much as it will accumulate to the point where you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I'll be sick.
You will be.
Mm.
And that's why most individuals are sick, is because they're divine and they're not treating their divinity with
Absolutely.
the beauty that's available, bringing it back to nature.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I'm very, very excited. I really am. It's perfect fucking divine timing, you know. And funnily enough, having explained this to my team, um, they're all like, "Oh yeah, we're joining. We need that as well." So I think in a sort of collective understanding, everyone's feeling the same, but they just don't know how to articulate it in the way that used to do so well. But we're all feeling the same, man. It's like, I've had enough of this fucking carrying this shit around with me all the fucking time. I want to let it go.
It's beautiful because as we create space and the accumulation drops away, it's not just around food, it's for every aspect of life as well. We're up in the game. We really truly are upping the game.
Yeah, let's do it. It's fucking time for the NFL.
Let's remind him that he asked for that.
Yeah. This
I'll
is
tell you a quick
recorded.
story, right? I'll tell you a quick story. When I was suffering with depression in my mid-20s, I was very much using a lot of psilocybin. And I done a lot of research into ayahuasca, and I thought, okay, this might be the next step to sort of try to understand that. So I went out to Peru with my wife, and we went to a retreat. And on the first ceremony, I was very nervous, and I was sort of like, oh no, like, be gentle with me, Mother Ayahuasca. My intentions are pure, and I was like, I just want a little cup. And the ceremony was nice. It was geometric shapes. It was very lovey-dovey, and I was like, this is not what I'm here for. So the second ceremony, I was like, I want a full cup, and I sat there. And my intentions were, do your fucking worst, and I knocked it back, and I went through hell, like legitimately, like hell. I don't know how I ever come back from it. So I'm prone to saying these things that do end up putting me on a bit of a wild ride.
Well, you're in the right place.
Sounds like a couple of others I know on this screen right now. So I've learned, Danny,
Oh
to
boy.
say, bring it on with grace and ease. Like full
Hey,
on, bring it on
hey,
with.
I'll take it all. I'm not bothered at all. Not one bit.
Well, then it's going to be a lot of fun.